Hello students, as up to now we have discussed how to produce the AC current and what are the methods to assemble to combine the circuits and what are the current and voltages that are just flowing in the RC circuits, LC circuit, LR circuit and their combinations like LCR circuit, and what are the special situations that we are obtaining there and where we are using that special situations like the resonance condition that is very useful in the communication system that we are using nowadays at a large scale. So here after this one thing, now we are just going to discuss today first what is the advantages and disadvantages of AC over the DC. So first, as you know that the DC current is that current in which magnitude can be changed but direction is not changing with the time. Means if the current magnitude we are getting in positive direction, then that will be always in positive, or if we are getting that in negative direction, so that will be in negative only. So it is confined only in one you can say that one dimension. So for this one case if DC current we have to change it in AC current, or if we are going to study for the AC current, then AC current is that for which it has magnitude as well as it has direction. Means all its direction is changing with time, and due to the continuous change in direction always we are getting two directions here, positive and negative half cycles we are obtaining, and that positive negative half cycles that we are using, and for that we are designing some different kind of instruments that we have even studied up to now. So here, as generation is now clear, then first let's see what are the advantages of AC over the DC. So the first advantage of AC is that the generation of AC, the production of AC is very economic for us. Means the economical conditions for the production of AC is very good. It cost less amount of money in comparison to the DC. As you know that to produce the AC we have to change only the theta, and for that one we can convert easily the mechanical energy into electrical energy by rotation of some of the turbines. Means we can change here flux easily by even rotating it, and for the rotation we can use already the sources that we have, just like we are using wind sources, we are using hydro supply or water supplies that we have, and fortunately we are very fortunate that in India a lot of rivers we have. So we are we have constructed a lot of dams already for the hydroelectric power supply, so that is very economic for us. So first a very good example and a very good advantage of AC over the DC. Second one here, if you will see how to increase the AC or DC voltages, so it can be easily actually increased by using the transformers. Later I will teach you what is the transformer, but as up to now you know already transformers we are using to step up or step down the voltages that is coming at our home, and that transformer only works for the alternating voltage or current. So as mutual induction effects we are using there. So for such kind of stepping up or stepping down, that is very easy in the case of AC. So that is also advantage over the DC we have. Third advantage is here, if you have to reduce the AC current suddenly, then for that case you can use the choke coils. So as I have told you what is the choke coil, number of coils that we are using that is insulated, in which eddy currents are generating, but we can reduce the eddy currents by insulation easily. So such kind of coils if we will utilize, then eddy currents will try to come or reduce the value of alternating current that is generated. So that is also advantage, we can easily reduce, we can easily step up step down the value of alternating potential and current according to our need. Next one is here, if you will see in the AC, if we have to reduce the wastage of energy, then for that one case also we can reduce whenever suppose we have just constructed a device and that device is wasting a lot of energy, so there we can reduce the wastage of the energy by using the choke coils there, because most of the energy is wasting there due to the coiling that we are using to produce the AC currents. So coiling effect you can neglect, or the production of ED that is generating or that is wasting a lot of energy you can neglect by insulating each of the coil. So insulation property is very useful, and nowadays we are using that at a large scale in our transformers, so that the losses can be reduced, and this can be easily done in for the ACs. Next one advantage is here, if you have to transmit the AC currents at a large distance places, then we can easily transmit them, and also you are seeing that we are using transformers, we are using the electric wires to transmit the AC currents from one place to another place. So it is very easy to transmit from one place to another place ACs by conducting wires. Next one advantage is here, if you will see how to produce the AC, so that is very easy. Actually the production of AC you have seen also by hydroelectric power supply, have just to make you understand. Also by AC generators, this you have to change only mechanical energy into electrical energy by only changing the theta. So that is very easy method for the production of AC, that is not very complicated methods. Even you can do experiments for that at your homes also, how to produce. We can also convert solar energies into such kind of electrical signals easily. So we have to only change theta, so that in our coil flux can be changed and we can convert that flux or that mechanical energy into the electrical supply. Now these are the advantages of AC over the DC, but there are also some disadvantages of AC over the DC. So first disadvantage here for the AC is that if you will calculate the peak value of AC, so as peak value of AC is given by I0 is equal to √2 times I RMS. And as in our homes the AC current that is coming, that is RMS value of AC, and I have told you why we are using RMS values of AC, why we have defined the mean values, why we are constructing some new type of devices for the AC circuits. So as RMS values we are using, then the peak value can be increased. If you will multiply √2 in this one, then you can see that the peak value is very greater here. So these are very dangerous current exactly. If some of the current are that will pass through our body, then even we can die due to this one. So simply this is very dangerous current due to its larger peak value. Second one here, the disadvantage over the DC is that if you have to use the AC in the phenomena like electroplating we are using, electrotyping we are using, so in these phenomena like electrorefining, so in all these we cannot use ACs because of continuous current we need here, that's direction will not change with the time. So for that one DC is very good for such kind of phenomena. So there AC has the advantage over the DC for these cases. Next one is if you will see the propagation of the AC. So AC currents are transmitted through the surface than the inside the surface. So it means we need to construct such kind of wire that should not be hollow, that should be very fine, very refined wire. So that is also a challenge for us to make such kind of fine wires over surface of which we can just transmit ACs from one place to another place. So this is also a disadvantage because we cannot transmit ACs from inside of the wires. It always can flow only from the surface. And next one thing here, these are the actually a lot of advantages and disadvantages of AC, but still we are also using ACs at a large scale due to a lot of advantages. The best advantage is here, I think, according to me, the economic conditions that we are using here. So always we try to find out such kind of devices that can be available at low cost. So that's why here we are using AC over the DC. We are prefer it, that its generation is very easy, very economic it is. Now, as up to now, students, you have studied what is the generation of AC, what are advantages of ACs over the DC, and about the AC circuits, alternating current potential. A lot of things we have studied. Then in the chapter, the rest things is the application of this AC, where we are using and in our daily life. So as in our daily life, ACs are transmitted from one place to another place. So transmission lines problem that we are using, that we are solving by the ACs. So for the transmission lines means if we have generated the AC, suppose the hydroelectric power or AC generator we have generated the AC, that was very economical and that was very easy to generate. But now we have to send it from one place to another place. Then how can we transmit it? That is a challenge, that is a problem. And to overcome over this problem, we have constructed a device first, that is called the transformers. So from one place to another place we are putting two transformers, and in between that transformers we are using the transmission lines through which we are transferring from one transformer the ACs to the other transformer. So these are our process through which we are just transmitting our lines. This is just like the condition as we are using in communication, like receiver and receiver antenna and transmitting antennas we are using. The transmitting antenna is used to transmit the signal, receiver antenna is used to receive the signal. So such kind of situation, and there we are using electromagnetic wave as a transmitting tools. So this is here, as AC cannot be transmitted as a at a large scale, it cannot be transmitted from one place to another place by wireless things. So we are using some wires from one place to another place to tie up it. So poles we are using, different transformers we are using. So these are our key components for the power supply systems that we are. So later I will tell you also in the end of the chapter what is the power supply system that we are using in our daily life after the transformer topic. So let's see now what is the transformer, what are the functions, what are the principle, working and construction of the transformer. So students, after the discussion on advantages and disadvantages over of AC over DC, let's discuss the next topic, that is transformer here. So now as I have told you what is the transformer, why we are going to study it, and where we need it. So like in transmissions line, basically we need the purpose of transformer. And here now let's see today what is the construction, principle, theory, everything behind the transformer. So first here transformer that we are using to either just convert low voltage to high voltage or high voltage to low voltage. So according to these two types we are using transformer to you can say that in two ways. First, either we are using it to increase the potential, second either we are using it to decrease the potential. So if we will increase the potential, means low to high potential, it will convert signals there, then that is called step up transformer. And second one where we are decreasing the signals, that is called step down transformer. So these are two kinds of transformer that we are using, and how we are increasing or decreasing the voltage in transformer. For this one, first we need to understand the principle of transformer. So as in principle of transformer, it is basically works on the mutual induction. So as you know that, again if I will remind you the mutual induction, then whenever we have two coils, then in general, just example, if suppose we have two coils that is separated by some distance, and if current is started to flow or changing in first coil, then that will induce an EMF in due to the change in flux in this second coil. Is without doing any work in here in secondary coil, we can produce the induced EMF and current here, and that induced EMF and current is operated, and that is related to the voltage of current in the first coil. So here as this kind of situation we are also using in our transformer. So in transformer we have two types of coils or types of cylinders we are using, cells we are using, or wirings we are using. So a simple construction of transformer, let's see here. after that I will tell you what is the way through which we can understand. So this is a metallic frame you can see, and in this metallic frame number of frames we have used. So this is called the core of the transformer, and we are designing core also in many ways, later I will tell you. So in this course, there are two sides of this core. One side we are just winding some of the wires over this one, and these wires are called primary wires, and this whole coil you can say that this is called the primary coil, and this is connected to an AC source here. Now if you will see this second one, so we are also just coiling this second one, or we are running some of the wires over this one. And one more thing here, the important concept, you can change the number of turns from here to here, and according to the change in number of turns we are using these transformers to step up or step down the voltages. So if you know that less number of turns you have, less magnetic flux will be there, less potential that will be induces there. So if you will supply the greater potential even here, but due to that, as here number of turns are less in comparison to this one, so potential will be reduced here automatically. So in this way we can reduce the potential. And if you have to make the step up transformer, you have to increase the potential, then you can decrease the number of wires or number of turns of wire here in comparison to this one, and according to that one, as the voltage you will supply here, that will be less, but here due to greater number of turns, greater number of flux will be produced, and there will be a huge change in the flux, and that's why a greater amount of EMF and current will be there. So this is the way of electromagnetic induction that we are using here also for the transmission of the potentials by the law of electromagnetic induction. And simple here, if you have understood already EMI, that is electromagnetic induction, in very brief. Whenever the flux anywhere that will change, that will induce some of the induced voltage and current. So here the same process we are using in self induction, we are using in mutual induction. Means we are changing the flux of this primary coil, and according to this one there will be automatic change in the secondary coil. So this linked effect we are calling that is mutual induction effect. Means if whenever here the flux will change, that will change the flux of here, that will induces a voltage and current here automatically, and that voltage and current, now you can say that we are just transmitting this one from here the voltage, and that voltage in increasing or decreasing way we are transferring to any other place. So this is just like the input device, this is just like the output device. So there are two parts in the transformer, that is the input part and output part. You can also say primary coils, secondary coils. So they all have the different properties, means number of coils they have different. If you don't have to change the potential, then number of coil you can keep the same in primary and secondary. But whenever you will change the number of turns here, then according to that voltage, either it will be a step up if number of turns are greater, and if it will step down if number of turns are smaller here. Like in this example, I have taken number of turns less than the number of turns in primary. So this is the step down transformer. If I will take here the greater number in comparison to here, that will be step up transformer. Now this is the section, the secondary section that we are joining to the load here up to now, and through the load, as we are using the load to take outputs, so we can take output from here easily. So I think the basic construction of transformer is now clear. Here a core that we are using, over the core we are just winding some of the wires, and in such a way, and one wire is called primary wire, second wire is called secondary wire. Only this is the you can say that the construction of the transformer that we are using already in our life at a huge scale to transmit potential from one place to another place, and here also to increase or decrease the potential according to our own need. So nowadays every system, electronic system has its power supply, and every power supply is containing such kind of transformer devices. So that is very important device that you are studying. So it's I think the principle and construction is now clear, students. Then after the principle and construction, next one as let's see here the types of cores that we are going to use. So here the core material that we are using, that core material can be of different types. Like we are using soft iron as a core material. We are also using silicon steel for this purpose. A lot of materials actually we are using to make the core, but nowadays the more popular is silicon steel and soft iron cores. So you have seen the sometimes steel type transformers now available in our market, and we are using that. So that is made up of the silicon steel there. So these are the things that we are using for the core. Now core can be made in two types, that is called core type and cell type. So let's see what is the core type and what is the cell type, and where we are using these types of cores. So first in the core type, that is the construction I have just made, in which we are using the two cylinders, you can say solenoids or cylinders, and that cylinder in which the primary and secondary wires that are distinguished to each other, means they are separable to each other by some distance. So just now again I will make this one. Means if we can just join the primary wire here and the secondary wire here. In this case, you can see that if these are behaving like that, these are two suppose cylinders over which we have bonded the wires, then these two are separated by some distance. These two wires are distinct completely, and these two wires are here you can see that one you can just join this one here, this one here. So this kind of core is, or the construction is called core type transformer. Second is called cell type transformer. So let's see what is the cell type transformer. So in the cell type actually transformer, here a metallic frame we are using. In this metallic frame, now two cylinders that we are using, that is inside, and primary wire that we are just making, this is our primary wire, and now the secondary wire that you will make, this is over this wire we are making. Means this one is there are two primary and secondary, both of the wires are linked with each other. In this case they are linked, they are overlapped with each other. So such kind of mutual interaction when it occur, then this kind of situation in the transformer is called cell type. So this is the cell type. First one is the core type that we are using. So in the modern situation, if you will see, the most of the transformers we are using of core types, but still this cell type we are using in radio and TV transmitters and receivers. In communication system we are using broadly this kind of situations. So I think up to now I think construction and the types, that is now clear. Next one here, now let's see what is the working of the transformer. So working for the working of the transformer, there is no need to discussion a lot. Already you know electromagnetic induction process, but still again I will tell you. Then whenever there is change in the flux linked with any coil due to any method, then there is a production of induced EMF and current. This is the basic principle on which transformer also works. Here we are using two coils. One is primary coil, or second one is secondary coil. So whenever there is change in flux or we are passing the current through it, and whenever we will change the current, so that current will change the flux linked with the secondary coil, and due to change in flux here a potential induced EMF and current will be generated. So this is that induced EMF and current. As I told you, according to our own need, we can keep a greater number or less number of turns in the wires, and according to that voltage will be step up or step down, and we can transmit this voltage to the load, and through the or we can join the load, and with the load you can just use number of transmission lines to send it to the another place. Like suppose at any transformer we have supplied in near about 1100 volt to the primary. So we need only 220 volt in our homes. So after just supplying to the primary 1100 volt, we are keeping the number of turns in secondary very less, so that it converted it to the only 220 volt supply here, and that 220 volt supply is taken by the load, and that after that is supplied to our home by the transmission lines. So also, as devices needed different kinds of voltages, so that's why we also use the its own power supply system this time, in which transformer is working, and that is converting voltage according to its own need. So I think working is also now clear. Now after the working, let's see what is the theory of the transformer. Its theory is also actually contained in the topic of mutual induction that we have studied before. So as if you will see, suppose N1 is the number of turns in primary coil, and N2 is number of turns in secondary. In primary, suppose N1 number of turns we have taken, in secondary N2 number of turns we have taken. So in these with each turn, obviously there will be a flux linked with this one. Whenever the current will flow through the primary, then according to this one, you can say there is the production of induced EMF in secondary. First one is, whenever there is the change in primary, then that will induce also induced EMF in its own coil, and that is called self-induction process. And here again, still along with that, it will induce induced EMF in the secondary coil due to mutual induction. So both of the process will be here. So here you can just write down what will be the this formula for the induced EMF in both of the cases. So that induced EMF can be written as here N1 into d phi by dt, here N2 into d phi by dt. And one more thing, as its direction is opposite, then you have to make its here negative sign also. So this is the induced EMF in primary coil, you can write down its E1, and this is the induced EMF in the secondary coil. Now phi you can keep as it is mutual induction. According to mutual induction you can keep, according to self induction you can keep the values here. Only we need this term. So whenever there is change in the flux, then that will change this primary coil potential, and according to that there will be also change in the secondary coil. So this is linked things, that is mutual relationship between these two. Now we can take the ratio of these two. So you will take the ratio of these two, that E1 by E2. This can be written as N1 upon N2 from here. So this is a ratio that predicts us that what is the number of turns that we have to keep in secondary, or what is the ratio of the number of turns that we can keep whenever we need a certain potential in primary, secondary, or we are supplying a certain potential to the primary. So according to our need, we can increase or decrease number of turns here. So a lot of possibilities now you have. You can increase, decrease number of turns according to your own need. So that's why this is very popular for the transmission lines. That's why it is very easy to transmit the AC signals from one place to another place. That's why it is very economic for us. So this is the reason behind the transformers that we are using at a huge scale, and here for the increasing or decreasing purpose, or for the transmission purpose. So this is, I think, now clear. And this ratio that you are seeing, this ratio is called the transmission ratio, that is denoted by some value K here. So the transmission ratio, if you have to understand what will be the value of transmission ratio for step-up transformer, what will be the value of transmission ratio for the step-down transformer. So first one, as you know that for the step-up transformer, for step-up, as number of turns, if we have to increase the voltage here, so number of turns in secondary, that should be greater than number of turns in primary. So from here, as N1 by N2 we have to find out. So N1 upon N2, if you will find out this one, so this will be less than 1. So here if you will see the value of K, this is less than 1. So if the value of K is less than 1, then our signal we having like the step up transformer. Next one thing, or for this case you can see that here the potential in the secondary coil that should be greater than the potential in the primary coil. Next one, if we have the step down transformer, then for the step down case, as we have to just decrease the potential, then we will keep the number of turns in secondary less than the number of turns in primary. So from here, if N1 upon N2, this ratio you will find out, this should be greater than 1. So if it is greater than 1, then value of K is also greater than 1 from here. So for step down, its value is also greater than 1. And one more thing, exactly this is not transformation ratio we are treating as 1 by K exactly, not this one. So that's why I have to just change this one. 1 by K should be less than 1, and from here K is greater than 1. Sorry for inconvenience here. This is value, or we can write down K is less than 1. I will tell you reason why I have done just this thing. So first, I think that is now clear. If we will take the step up transformer, then for this case, K should be greater than 1. For step down, it should be less than 1. But theory is our same. We have to keep the number of turns in secondary greater for step up, number of turns in primary for the step down cases. And if we are keeping the number of turns in both of the coil, that is same. For this case, K is equal to 1. That time transformer is called in isolation state. So here, as why we have done so, as we are already transformation ratio, actually that tells us about the efficiency of transformer to convert the potential. So efficiency we are taking from output, the ratio of output to the input. So that's why I have just converted this one. So this is E2 by E1 that I have to take. So this is N2 by N1, this was the case. So this is output to the input. That's why only this correction I have done here. So students, I think about the transformer, as lot of things we have discussed, that is now clear. So let's see the rest of the things about the transformer. Some of the losses we will study tomorrow. So let's just discuss that tomorrow. For today, let's end our class here, guys. I think all of the things about the transformer, that is now clear.